The path of the solitary traveler is often misunderstood by those who rely on the warmth of the crowd for their sense of security. While the majority of the world spends their days desperately seeking comfort and validation, the chosen ones are out there in the wilderness, carving paths through what everyone else calls the impossible. You've probably felt it before, that strange, persistent pull away from the herd, a calling that whispers to you in the dead of night when the rest of the world is finally quiet. It's not that you hate people, but rather that you've realized the noise of the masses only serves to drown out the truth of who you are meant to be. This cold silence of being different isn't a curse. It's a prerequisite for the greatness that is currently brewing inside of you. To walk alone is to walk the farthest because you aren't carrying the dead weight of other people's expectations. Most people spend their entire lives drowning in a sea of background noise, constantly distracted and easily controlled by the latest trends or societal pressures. They are essentially asleep, moving through their existence on autopilot without ever questioning the script they've been handed. But you are different. You felt that internal friction, that resistance to blending in. You've recognized that isolation isn't just something you have to endure until things get better. Instead, it is the sacred battlefield where the strongest souls are forged. When you are stripped of the distractions and the constant chatter of the world, you are finally left with the only thing that truly matters, your own potential. This realization is the first step toward reclaiming a power that 80% of the world will never even know exists, much less learn how to harness for their own growth and evolution. I learned this truth through the fires of my own personal struggle, on a day when everything I thought defined me was suddenly ripped away. My social circle, my sense of security, and the comforts I had grown accustomed to disappeared in an instant, leaving me standing in a void. It wasn't the physical loss of things that hurt the most. It was the sudden, crushing weight of loneliness that threatened to pull me under. I felt like I was staring into a dark abyss, waiting for it to swallow me whole while looking around for allies who were nowhere to be found. But in that darkness, I discovered a secret that they never teach you in school. Being alone doesn't break the chosen. It builds them into something unbreakable. While others run from the silence, the chosen embrace it as a laboratory for the soul to undergo its most radical transformation. In the depths of that solitude, something terrifyingly beautiful begins to happen to a person. Your mind starts to clear of the external clutter, and your instincts become as sharp as a razor's edge. You begin to see things that others are completely blind to because they are too busy looking for approval. The worst part for your enemies is that they cannot stop this process because they cannot control what they don't understand. Your very existence starts to haunt those who prefer the status quo, and they fear you because you can't be manipulated by the same petty things that drive them. They hate the fact that you don't need their permission to exist or their applause to feel successful. They watch you from a distance, feeling threatened and powerless, because nothing terrifies an ordinary person more than an individual who has mastered themselves. When you finally step into your true power, the people who once looked down on you will start to watch you in a heavy, contemplative silence. They will wonder how you managed to survive and thrive through the very circumstances that should have destroyed your spirit. They will sense the shift in your energy, the way you move through a room with a different kind of gravity, and the way you see right through their facades. You are no longer reacting to the world in the way they expect, and that unpredictability makes you dangerous to their sense of order. You aren't alone in this experience. You are part of a rare lineage of individuals who don't just exist to occupy space. You are here to evolve, to embrace the shadows, and to walk out of the darkness stronger and more formidable than ever before. Today, I am going to reveal 5 supernatural powers that set the chosen ones apart from the vast majority of the population. These are the traits that make you essentially unstoppable in a world that tries to keep everyone small and manageable. But before we dive into these hidden strengths, it's important to acknowledge why you are here. If you felt the heavy weight of solitude and sensed that you were never meant to blend in with the average 80%, then this message is specifically for you. I want you to engage with this community, hit that like button, subscribe to stay connected, and drop a 777 in the comments if you are ready to turn your isolation into an unstoppable force. If you truly are one of the chosen, you won't be able to look away because every word will resonate with a part of you that has been waiting to be heard. Let's begin with the first power, the ironclad mind. When the pressure around you begins to rise, the chosen remain completely unshaken while everyone else is looking for an exit. Most people are built to break. They allow the world to get under their skin and pull them into a storm of chaotic emotions. They react impulsively, they explode in anger, or they crumble into a million pieces the moment things don't go their way. But you have been through the fire, and instead of letting it consume you, you used it to harden your resolve. You've become something they can't categorize, unreadable and untouchable. This haunts the weak because they realize they can't use your emotions as a handle to move you. They might call you cold or distant, but they don't see the mental wars you've already won. Behind that quiet exterior and that stillness is a mind that has been tempered by experience and self-reflection. Most people can't stand silence because it forces them to face the reality of who they are without their titles or possessions. They drown the silence in noise and meaningless conversations because they are terrified of their own thoughts. But you have sat in that silence for hours, staring into the abyss until it no longer felt like a threat. When the noise of the world fades away, the weak panic, but the chosen use that time to sharpen their focus. Solitude is your training ground where your internal weaknesses go to die and true self-control is born. You have mastered the one skill that makes you truly superior to the masses. You control your mind when others are controlled by their circumstances. People will constantly try to push your buttons just to see if they can get a reaction out of you. They know that if they can control how you respond, they essentially own your peace of mind. But when they look into your eyes and see nothing but calm precision, their confidence begins to wither. When their words and actions bounce off of you like pebbles hitting a steel wall, fear starts to creep into their hearts. They realize that they have no leverage over you because you aren't playing their game. You've been in those heated arguments where everyone else is losing their cool, but you stayed silent, calculating and seeing 10 steps ahead. In moments of absolute chaos, you are the one standing still, observing the board and waiting for the perfect moment to move. The mind of a chosen one is very much like an ice-capped mountain. On the surface, it appears calm, still, and unmovable. However, beneath that exterior is a massive force of nature just waiting to be unleashed when the time is right. This isn't about suppressing your emotions or pretending they don't exist. It's about mastering them so they serve you rather than rule you. You feel the pain, the betrayal, and the rage just like anyone else, but you've trained yourself to channel those feelings into raw power. This makes you incredibly dangerous to the status quo because you don't react, you calculate. While the rest of the world is being pulled in every direction by their latest impulse, you remain centered and focused on the long-term objective, which is a level of discipline they can't even imagine. The second power is what I call the soul's X-ray, which is the ability to see the unseen and unmask the truth in any situation. Most people in this world wear elaborate masks to hide their true intentions, but the chosen don't just see through them, they rip them off with a single glance. You've likely noticed the way people speak with their mouths while their bodies are screaming a completely different story. They say they are fine, but the weight in their eyes tells you they are drowning. They offer a friendly smile, but their energy is thick with resentment and jealousy. What is obvious to you remains invisible to the 80%, and this makes people incredibly uncomfortable. When you look at them, they feel exposed and naked, knowing that no amount of charm or deception can fool your intuition. This ability wasn't a random gift. It was earned through the hours you spent in solitude observing the world. While others were chasing distractions, you were watching, listening, and learning the subtle patterns of human behavior. In the quiet, you became a silent observer of nature, noticing the cracks in people's voices and the hesitation in their gestures. You realized that people rarely mean what they say, and most don't even know themselves well enough to be honest if they tried. But as a chosen one, you see through the fog of social performance. You walk into a room and immediately feel the shift in tension before a single word is spoken. You read the hidden weight between sentences and understand the power games being played behind the scenes. People hate that you can't be fooled because it takes away their ability to manipulate you. They wish you would just play along and pretend that the illusions are real, but your soul won't let you. You might have wondered why others are so blind to things that seem so obvious to you. The simple truth is that most people would rather live in a comfortable lie than face an uncomfortable truth. They ignore the red flags and believe the sweet words even when the actions are clearly contradictory. But you trust the unseen and the unspoken. This vision is your primary weapon. It keeps you safe from traps and allows you to navigate life like a grandmaster on a chessboard, always several moves ahead of those who are just drifting. The third power is the razor mind phenomenon, which involves hyper, focus, and the ability to make unshakable decisions with instant clarity. The mind of a chosen one is a blade, cold, sharp, and deadly accurate in its execution. While others are drowning in the noise of social media and public opinion, you cut right through the static to the core of the issue. Most people wander through their lives in a state of constant confusion, chasing 1,000 different things and wasting their energy on tasks that don't actually move the needle. They are slaves to the chaos of their own making, unable to think straight or act decisively. But you have stepped into the silence and emerged with a level of clarity that makes you a force to be reckoned with in any environment. This kind of hyper clarity is only available to those who aren't afraid to sit with their own thoughts. Most people can't go 5 minutes without checking their phones because they fear the silence. They know that if they are left alone, they will have to face the parts of themselves they've been trying to bury. But you walked into that silence and let it refine you. Your thoughts have become organized, your emotions have settled, and your instincts have been sharpened to a point. It's like standing in the calm eye of a hurricane while the rest of the world is being tossed around by the wind. You remain centered and in control, making decisions with a level of confidence that others often mistake for arrogance or recklessness, but you know better. The 80% will never understand your level of focus or why you don't hesitate when a challenge arises. They don't realize that while they were filling their heads with useless information, you were refining your mind into a high-precision tool. When you speak, you don't waste words. When you act, you don't second-guess the path you've chosen. You move with a surgical precision that terrifies those who are used to dealing with people who are easily swayed. You've already fought the internal battles and weighed the outcomes, so the external execution is just a formality. This absolute certainty is what allows you to stand at the finish line while everyone else is still debating which way to run. And that is why you will always lead where they follow. The fourth power is the echo of pain, which is the ability to feel and understand the deep-seated fears that others are trying so hard to hide. People fear what they cannot conceal, and when they are in your presence, their carefully constructed masks begin to crack. Most individuals can't see beyond the surface level of a conversation, but you feel the energy underneath the words. You don't need a confession to know someone's truth. Their silence and their body language tell you everything you need to know. This power was forged in your own periods of suffering. Because you've had to confront your own unhealed wounds and buried fears, you can now recognize the same patterns in others. Pain recognizes pain, and that gives you a level of insight that is rare. Most people rely on deception to get through the day, lying to themselves and everyone else about how they really feel. They build high walls to protect their vulnerabilities, but you walk into a room and read that energy in seconds. You see the sadness behind the forced laughter and the deep insecurity that drives someone's arrogance. This doesn't mean you use this knowledge to hurt people. In fact, the chosen use it to heal and connect on a level that most will never experience. People gravitate toward you because you feel real. In a world full of fake interactions, you attract both intense admiration and deep-seated fear because you are a mirror reflecting the truth back to them. And not everyone is ready to see what is looking back. This ability to feel what others fear is both a gift and a heavy burden to carry. Who reads the reader, and who heals the person who sees everyone else's hidden scars? This is why the chosen often feel like they are walking a solitary path, not because they want to be alone, but because very few people have the depth to meet them where they are. However, this sensitivity is not a weakness. It is your ultimate weapon in a world of deception. While everyone else is guessing, you actually know what is happening. While they are reacting to the surface, you are responding to the root cause. This depth of understanding makes you unforgettable to anyone who crosses your path, whether they love you or fear you for it. Fifth and final power is that of the time alchemist, which is the rare ability to turn isolation into power and loneliness into gold. Most people are terrified of time. They see it as something to be killed or filled with distractions. When they are alone, time stretches out and becomes a weight they can't carry. So they scramble for validation and noise to make it go away. But the chosen do the exact opposite. Where others see an empty void, we see a massive opportunity for growth. Where they feel boredom, we feel the thrill of evolution. We are the ones who don't let time just pass us by. We bend it and forge it into something that gives us a permanent edge over the rest of the world. While the 80% are wasting their years chasing temporary highs and scrolling through meaningless content, you are in the shadows building your empire. You've mastered the discipline of sitting in solitude and thriving in it, which is the ultimate separator between the ordinary and the extraordinary. You've used your time to study patterns, refine your skills, and master your own mind. This means that when you finally return to the world, you are unrecognizable to those who once knew you. You move with a different level of conviction and make decisions with a clarity that others find intimidating. You've spent your time mastering every aspect of yourself, and now you have an aura of confidence that cannot be manipulated or swayed by trivial things. Time alchemy is about the unbreakable discipline of knowing that every second is a currency. While the rest of the world is burning their time like it's infinite, you are turning every moment of your solitude into strength, knowledge, and wisdom. This is why the chosen rise while everyone else stays stuck in the same cycles for decades. Those who once laughed at your isolation will eventually watch in stunned silence as you achieve things they can't even dream of. They will wonder how you became so untouchable, not realizing that you were working while they were sleeping. You have become the master of your time, and because of that, there is absolutely nothing the world can do to stop your inevitable ascent to the top. You see the difference now, don't you? You were never like the rest of the world, and you were never meant to be. While they run from the very silence that could save them, you embrace it as your home. While they fear being alone, you have turned that isolation into your greatest competitive advantage. Every moment you spend in self-mastery adds up, creating a gap between you and the masses that they can never close. They wasted their time seeking the approval of people who don't matter, while you weaponized your time to become a version of yourself that is truly formidable. This is what it means to be chosen. It isn't about being better in a judgmental way. It's about having the courage to face the truth of your own existence. The real question now is, what are you going to do with this profound knowledge? Knowing that you are one of the chosen is only the beginning. Living like it is what actually changes your reality. Most people will watch a message like this and then immediately go back to their distractions, forgetting the fire that was just lit inside them. But you won't do that. You will see every second of solitude as fuel for your next transformation. You will recognize that your path is unique and that you don't need a crowd to tell you that you are on the right track. You will never again waste your time the way the 80% does, because you finally understand the value of the power you hold within your own mind. If this message resonated deep within your soul, then you have found your tribe. Prove that you are one of the rare ones by dropping a 777 in the comments right now. Like this video to spread the energy, subscribe so you never lose this connection, and share this with the one person you know who is currently struggling with their own isolation. They need to know that their loneliness is actually their greatest strength in disguise. The world might not be ready for the person you are becoming, but you are more than ready to show them what a chosen one is truly capable of. Stay sharp, stay focused, and I will see you in the next one as we continue this journey of evolution together.